My name is Jessica Ludiansky, and today I am blessed to be joined by Miss Carol White, a parishioner here at Holy Redeemer. So welcome, Carol, and thank you for being a part of this episode.
You're quite welcome. You're quite welcome.
As you know, we are celebrating Black History Month. It's February, and so we're taking time to interview a couple priests. We're interviewing some laity today just to talk about Black History Month and the importance of it. Now, before we started filming, Miss Carol was telling me she didn't grow up Catholic. She actually was a different denomination. So I want to just start by maybe Miss Carol telling us a little bit about herself and her background. I can tell you that her late husband was a deacon and served the church faithfully, and so I'm just very excited to have her here today.
Well, I'm delighted to be here, and I'm delighted that you all chose to come and speak with us. And it's hard to follow Father Kevin. He's a hard act to follow, but he does well. But I grew up as an Episcopalian, and when I got ready to get married, my husband was in the military, and at that time you had to sign papers saying that you would raise your children Catholic. And I thought, I don't want to be going to another church while my kids and my husband are going to a different church. So I thought, okay, let me take a look at this and see, what the differences are. And it was very interesting that the Josephite priests were very active in Massachusetts at the time, and that's where we were. And the one thing they wanted to be sure of was that I wasn't being forced into, becoming a Catholic. No, I wasn't forced into becoming a Catholic. I wanted to research it out and figure out what needed to be done. And I've been Catholic ever since, and it's been an experience, it's been a journey. One of the things that I'm doing now, that since I've retired, because we raised a family, we had 9 children, and we have like 40 some odd grandchildren, and on and on and on. But the thing that's important for me now that I've retired from working for the archdiocese, I'm still the archdiocesan liaison for the Black Catholic Apostolate. And so I'm actively involved in the Black Catholic community besides being here at Holy Redeemer. And I think that one of the things that Father spoke about was that we have November as our Black Catholic History Month. And that's when we try to get people to kind of go back and look at the history of Black Catholics, look at what Father Cyprian Davis has done. Sister Thea Bowman that Father spoke of was a personal friend, and she was just absolutely wonderful. And I always gather from something that she has said when she talked to the bishops and she talked to other people. When I come to church, I don't want to have to leave my culture on the doorstep.
Right.
And she was right, and I was right. I used to think about that. And so we church shop because my husband's military. And we used to go, he played the organ on the bass, and so we were going to church on the bass and that kind of thing. But we weren't getting what we needed. And that's how come we found Holy Redeemer and have been here ever since. And just so many changes. But what we've tried to do is, he was the director of the Black Apostolate while he was alive. And so what we tried to do, because we were the only Black Catholic church, predominantly Black Catholic church in the archdiocese, was we would bring people into San Antonio. We would make a deal with them and say, if you come and present to us and to our parishioners who never traveled anywhere, we'll go where you are and do the same thing. And so that's what we did. We traveled the country together. I used to deal with deacons, Black deacons' wives, and those that were candidates. But we were trying to make sure that our people were exposed and understood that we were just here, but that the Black Catholic experience was all over. It was everywhere. And we had some very wonderful people that have come here and done revivals for us, that have come here and talked about being Black and Catholic. And we've exposed our people. Our biggest loss, and you'll see it in this issue of Today's Catholic that's coming out, was Kenneth Lewis, who was a composer, a liturgist, a musician, wonderful. He used to come whenever we called him. He would be here. He and Father got to be good friends. But what he brought with him was that whole component of being Black and Catholic, and that it was okay, and that you could incorporate your African American heritage music into the Catholic liturgy. That was very, very important. And you say, what's different if you come here? Well, now we can't have a choir because of COVID. But the thing is that people need to understand that we are a part of instead of separate from. And that's across the country, that's across the board. And it's interesting because our fastest growing population of Black Catholics is in Beaumont, which I think is very interesting as you look up the history and think about it. But Galveston, Houston has a large number. Chicago, like Father mentioned, St. Louis, a lot of these places have lots and lots of, we don't. We're it. But the thing is that we're a welcoming community that we want people to come and be a part of. And I think the greatest thing that has happened to us is Father is pastoring 3 parishes now. 3 very distinctly different parishes. But yet we're able to keep our own identity, but yet we would do some things together. We're doing RCIA, for example, together as a collaborative effort with the 3 parishes. Instead of saying we're going to have one here and one here and one here, that's the Catholicity part of us. But yet we're still able to keep our own identity. And I think that's important. And we share liturgies, we do different things, and I think that's important. And it's an opportunity for us to get to know, at least for me anyway, to get to know a little bit more about the Hispanic culture. You know, and my thing is that if we want to be open to what the universality of the church is, then we need to learn about the other cultures that are here. We had at one point 30 some odd different ethnic groups here in this archdiocese. And how many of them, the Archbishop Flores used to say to us, and when do you invite them to come to your church and do the Hispanic thing, you know? And we just kind of laugh about that. But it's an opportunity for us to get to know each other. But you see, the piece of that is that if you don't know yourself, you can't know somebody else. You can't accept somebody else. So we have to know who we are as Black and Catholic and what we have to offer the church, what we have to offer. And we have lots of gifts and lots of talents. Music is just one of them. We have theologians. We have the Institute for Black Catholic Studies, that's in New Orleans. We have lots of things out there that are available to us and that we have to share with other people. But we sometimes don't get the opportunity to do that. And I think that's the big thing as far as I'm concerned. We're a welcoming parish. We want to see everybody come. When they come to us, they know we're an African American parish, and that's okay. But they come by choice. They come to participate, to worship with us. And that makes a big difference, I think, today. So it's kind of an exciting time. But I agree with Father. We have the shortest month of the year for Black History Month. And we celebrate the whole year round. Yeah. You know, whatever comes up, whatever happens, like I say, if the new book comes out, like Bishop Braxton has just written a new book that's due out this next week. He's retired. Bishop Guillory, for example, says, oh, now I can write, now I can do all these things that I didn't have time to do before, I can do now. But, you know, we all have gifts. We all bring different gifts to the table, but we need to be allowed to bring those gifts to the table and to use them. That's the big thing. So our job as the apostolate is to identify, and this is what we haven't really been able to get a handle on. There are Black Catholics all across this archdiocese. We don't say, come to Holy Redeemer, you can't, it's the one place you can be. But we need to be able to reach out and touch those people, right, and make them aware of the things that are going on in the Black Catholic community. They make choices. They can choose to come to Holy Redeemer if they want to. But at least we have made an effort to get them the information of what's going on out there. Right. And that's a hard task to do, because you think of in Region 10, we're a part of Region 10, that's Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. And in some of these places, it's like Bishop Zurich used to tell me, but we only have 2 or 3 families. Well, that's okay. Those 2 or 3 families still need to have the information. And so that's an ongoing task for us.
What advice would you have for maybe a young Black Catholic that, you know, they've never really known about that there is a Black Catholic community? What advice would you have for them to either get plugged in or experience, you know, their heritage?
Come visit. Come and see, if you will. Father Kevin always gives us something to hang on to. And with this COVID, he has done the live stream for our masses and then also daily reflections. Come and see, come and check us out and see what's going on. I go back to before even Father Kevin came with our religious education classes. Our religious ed books did not depict who we were. That just wasn't a part of what was in those religious ed books. And so when kids see those things, they say, that's not for me. I don't want to be a priest. I don't know any black priests and my husband was around here for quite a while, and he was a deacon. Well, so we used to have to bring in people so that they could see the Black Order of Sisters that Father talks about, the Holy Family Sisters, the different groups, so that the kids could get a sense of it's okay to be black and Catholic. And that's an ongoing thing. And a lot of that has to come from the home. And if the parents don't have knowledge of who we are as black and Catholic, it's very difficult to communicate that to the kids. So that's an ongoing thing. But I would say come visit. Come check us out and see what's going on. And it's a little different experience. But I think that you take our liturgy and you look at our liturgy, it's alive. We're welcoming. Father Kevin gives a good message. And that message always applies to who we are today and what the scripture means to us today and how we need to go about doing what we're doing. And I think that he does a very good job with that. So come see. That would be the advice that I would give. Come visit. And you might like it, But I want to belong to a church where I feel comfortable, where I don't have to leave my culture on the doorstep and come in, and say, okay, I have to be Catholic now. I can't be who I am, because that doesn't work,
Right.
And with our children being married to military people and being around the country, I have a daughter that was in Florida. She left the church because of the way she was treated in Florida. They told her, you don't belong here. You belong back across the bridge at this other church. And you don't do that to young people. And she stayed through. Fortunately, there was a young black priest that was the pastor at the parish. And so he kind of took her under his wing, and she stayed, but she left the church. She said, no, I don't want to be where I'm not wanted. So we have to look at that. We have to say, who are we, first of all? But it's not an either or situation, it's both and. We're black and we're Catholic. And that's the thing that we have to communicate. It's okay.
Yes.
It's okay to be black and Catholic.
That's a beautiful, beautiful message that, God designed each of us uniquely and beautifully. We are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we sometimes forget that we don't have to change. We can take our cultures, we can take our ethnicity, and they can all work together within the universal church. I was working with another series, and it was of an Eastern Orthodox. And the priest blew me away talking about just the differences. And he has a mission church here in San Antonio that I never even knew about. And so many times, we get caught up in our own world and our own bubbles. And we forget that our church is universal. We are a church that welcomes everyone. And we have to find our home. And I love that message of, finding our home, because I don't know about you, but when I first got back to church after COVID, it felt so good to be home.
Yeah, that's the hard part. And see, we've been here since 1901.
Wow.
120 years is a long time, and we're still growing. COVID didn't slow us down. But it made some changes in the things that are going on. I miss the congregation, I miss the community, I miss the family that that we used to gather on Sundays, and during the week and stuff like that. I do miss that, and I just can hardly wait until all this is over with and that we can get our people back into church. Because you lose people. You have people that die in the parish. You can't really say your goodbyes to them because you're limited. And it's just hard. It's a difficult thing where families are separated from each other because of all of this. So it's a different approach, but church is still here. And I tell people God is still in control. And so, yes, I'm black, and yes, I'm Catholic, and I'm proud to be both, and I'll do whatever it takes to continue to pass that message along to whomever. And I'm just very grateful to be still around, to be able to do that. But this is a fascinating little church with a lot of good history. And I think that most of the people in the archdiocese don't know about our history. They don't know who we are. When I was working for the archdiocese, we hosted a retreat here. And it was really funny because Father Joe Lopez was still alive then, and he was the retreat master. And he had this beautiful, beautiful picture of the Annunciation. It was gorgeous. Anyway, he did his thing, and then they gave me a little time to give the history of the church. You know, we had some time left. And then they said, you know, they looked and they said, I said, I want to know something from all of you. The church was full. How many of you, is this your first time being in this church? And the hands that went up was unreal. And these are people that worked for the archdiocese at the time. They'd not been here. They didn't even know we existed, you know. And so it's a matter of keeping us in the forefront and saying, okay, we're here year round. And Father Kevin does a good job of that because he's out in the community, not only here and at the 3 parishes and Our Lady of the Lake, he's everywhere.
Right.
And so people know who he is, they know the churches that he serves and the difference in these churches, and people just love him. You know, I think it's just great. He's just done a wonderful job.
If someone wanted to come here for a Mass, what are the Mass times here?
9 o'clock on Sunday only. We did away with the 12:30 Mass for
Okay.
COVID. So it's 4 o'clock on Saturday and 9 o'clock on Sunday.
Awesome.
And the Sunday is always live streamed. At this point, you know, we're doing that. So
Awesome.
it was funny because we kicked off Black History as we do a libation ceremony honoring our people, you know, the different people that the first Sunday in February is African Family Sunday. Father Jim Good, the Franciscan, created that, and that's been going on for 30 some odd years. So we do a libation ceremony for that each week in Black History Month for a different group of people. The families were this week, next week it'll be the elders. The third week we're going to lift up our people, our founding families for the church. And then the fourth Sunday will be the children, you know, kids. But we do something different. And it isn't a big flourish of anything. It's just that this is who we are. And this is a part of what we're about, being Black and Catholic. And so we take our culture and we infuse it into the Catholic liturgy and to the Catholic community. It doesn't make us different because we're part of that mosaic. And it's, you know, that's the thing that I have tried to communicate. That's the thing that my husband tried to communicate. We're a part of and we're not separate from. And that makes a difference.
Yes.
Makes a difference.
Most definitely.
But I was trying to go back and think how far back Archbishop Fury, I guess, was a bishop. Was the archbishop when we first came. But he was a deacon, and so we were always around and involved in different things. But being a military family, we grew up differently, and our kids grew up differently because we lived on base, very protective environment, and we didn't experience a lot of the things that these people have experienced here. And so it was a new experience for our kids to learn about that history, learn about Dr. Martin Luther King, learn about all these people that were inventing these things, because that wasn't in our history books. We came from the Northeast, we came from Massachusetts. So it's been a learning experience for us, and it's still an ongoing learning experience. But the fact is that we are Black and Catholic, and I have to keep emphasizing that. Not either or, both and.
Well, you gave us a beautiful message today, lots to think about and take home with us. And I would challenge you, the one thing that keeps coming out that Miss Carol said was, come and see. Those are powerful words, and so I would challenge each of you to come and see. That's really the best thing that we can do as our priests, you know, they consecrate every Sunday bread and wine and turn it into this miraculous miracle. Come and see. Thank you again for joining us.
Well, you're quite welcome. I hope I gave you some food for thought.
You did. It was wonderful, and I am so excited to just launch this episode. We will continue talking about Black History Month during the month of February, and have a great week.